Hi, everybody. This is David Oleski with the Written Elsewhere Fine Art Show 5 o'clock club, broadcasting live from the home office in Westchester, Pennsylvania. Today we have a special guest, Alice Vander Vennen from Ontario. Coalberg, I think, is the city. But real quick, the show's coming up, and gosh, it's only what, 5 weeks, 6 weeks, hardly any time at all. June 6th, 7th, and 8th. It's already beautiful here in Pennsylvania. Philadelphia is just gorgeous already, and first weekend of June, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday is the Written Elsewhere Fine Art Show, and that's where you're going to want to be. So right now I'm going to bring Alice on board here. Yeah.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm well, thank you. Thanks for having me on your show.
Thank you for joining us. This is
Great.
exciting. So we don't have a lot of Canadian interviewees here. So
hmm
exciting.
Yeah, that's great. Not many Canadians do the show.
That's true.
So,
It's a very small handful, really.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So,
So real quick, what's your experience with the show? How long have you done it?
well, I started doing the show in 2014, so over a decade of it, and it's a show that I just love. I feel like it's my home show, and I just kind of love everything about it. The people, the organization, the beauty of like the square. I love Philadelphia, and it feels, I think all the people in Philadelphia are pretty astute art, connoisseurs. They love looking at art. They love purchasing art, thankfully. So, yeah, I just love it. As working as an artist, you can sometimes, like, you're just in your studio alone all the time, eh? So then sometimes it's just great to get out, and when I'm with in Philadelphia, I feel like I'm with colleagues, and I think, yeah, these are my people. So that's why
Yeah,
I love the show.
we do feel like a family. I mean,
Absolutely.
and everyone in the shows is like a different section of the family, and it's so much fun catching up with everybody.
Yeah,
They
exactly.
converge from all over, North America, and
Yeah,
just for the one event, and it's just a blast.
yeah, yeah.
So do
So it's
you do a
pretty
lot of
special.
events? Do you do a lot of events in the States?
I do about 6, 7
Wow.
his kind of in the past. This year will be a little different, but yeah, I do about 6 or 7 shows. So
So okay, here's something I'm really curious about. What are the shows in Canada like Rittenhouse? Are there any?
there's one, and it's the Toronto Outdoor Show,
What
and
in all of Canada?
yeah, maybe there's something in Vancouver. So, but yeah, I
Wow.
think that's why I feel so thankful, to be able to go to Philadelphia and to feel like there's a home there. So yeah.
Right. Ah.
Mhm.
So have you had a lot of chances to spend time in the city, the art museums, restaurants, downtime outside of the show?
Not too much. We actually have family there. I married an American, and his Mark's cousin lives in Swarthmore. So we stay with family, and once in a while, we'll extend our stay and then get to the art gallery. And so, but the thing about Philadelphia too is like every time I offer to like deliver a piece or something like that, it's just like, oh yeah, so there's this, I'm delivering a piece to an apartment that's overlooking the art gallery, or I'm walking to one of the big condos just off the square. And, you just feel like you're part of it then, like your art is there, you belong. Feels great.
Right, there's something charming that the immediate neighborhood around the square is a big part of the audience for the show.
Absolutely. Yes. And there's one condo building where the doormen, or I love this about Philadelphia, how they have people opening the doors for you. He said, "Oh, hi." Like, welcome back. So, obviously a couple times over the years I've had to deliver pieces there. So it's fun.
Yeah, that sounds like. Um, so, well, let's. What's on your easel now?
Well, I've been all winter, I've just been kind of putting things together. I feel like I'm a quilter with color, or I feel like I'm painting with textile. But then, when I go for a walk, I'm always finding things. So I don't know if can you see my hands here? You can't. No,
Oh,
it's okay.
oh,
But so I'm walking along, and suddenly I'm finding this, and then this, and or um, down by the beach in France. I picked up this when I was there 2 years ago. I was doing a residential thing, so it feels like these are little diary pieces. Instead of using words, I feels like I'm collecting little moments in time, and then I love how it all relates, and then I start connecting them in little sections. And I kind of spent all winter doing that. And then now more I'm gathering, and like you can see, I've been putting it in the spaces, in the pieces. Oh, I even got a stick here. Like, so this little piece, it's just like layers and layers of textile, um, from textiles that some of them have been hand stitched, so they carry that history. Some of them have just been purchased for their color. Some of them carry history. Some of them carry a narrative from a different culture. But then they all come together, and I just love how that all works. So
and our beloved Sandra Sedmak Angle. I always adore Sandra. I don't know about you, but
yeah.
she loves that so much. The thought that your pieces are diaries. Yeah, I was thinking it's like scrapbooking. It's So what is the substrate that everything is then built upon? What is the foundation idea?
I've been painting a lot of oh, the idea or the actual thing.
Well, both. I mean, is there an underlying thing that is the foundation?
Um, Always working with the aesthetics, always loving working with the space. I was actually trained as a sculptor. Um, Working with space, working with negative, working with positive space. Um, but then in doing that, the color fields are created with textiles. And the textiles can come from anywhere in the world. So I'm using them, always just thinking of color, being excited about that. But then when I'm putting it all together, I'm thinking, oh my goodness, like there is stuff from this culture, that culture, this century, and then or last century. So it feels a bit like it's a narrative, like a visual poem. Um, after it's done, so it's always a bit like a dialogue, like, oh, too red, okay, pull it back,
Right.
oh, give me a break, that kind of. So I do talk to myself or the art pieces. So
I
yeah.
think we all do, I think.
Yeah.
But so the question came up, what do you put your pieces on? So what is the actual substrate?
um
What
yeah, so I've been working a lot on canvas, and actually sewing the canvas, but then also I mount that up on like an acid-free foam board. And then the structure is like just with sticks, and then I wrap all the sticks with wire, like any motor, anything that goes round. Yeah, any like a vacuum cleaner, has wire in it. This is really thin stuff, but my dad lived through the war. My parents were in Holland during World War II. And that concept that nothing goes to waste,
Right.
was the bedrock of how I was raised. But um, so it's the using of scraps. But then my dad, he's passed now, but he really got into, like, him and his buddies smashing apart old motors that that then they would give me the wire, and I've got boxes of it, and that's what I wrap around like the sticks. So yeah.
Right. So the scale of your work, I've seen generally it's manageable size. Do you go bigger? Do you sometimes get stuck in miniatures?
Every time I look at my work, I think, oh, go big, but I start tiny,
Right.
and some of it is just the practicality of it. I remember when I first started, all three of our children were still, like right there, right at home. And my studio space was literally the placemat at the kitchen table kind of thing. You know, they're all gone. My youngest is 30 and she's living in St. John, New Brunswick now.
Wow.
Anyway, all to say, um, I've got, I think I've gone as large as I technically can. Like, how do you go to shows with pieces that are larger than your vehicle? It's impossible.
Right.
So,
Are they be assembled on location like a part one and a part two?
oh, that'd be fascinating. Yeah, that would be fun, eh? To try something like that. Like, yeah,
And
and
even wrap it on two sides of your booth just for somebody that loves your work but needs something that goes
bigger.
on a 10-foot booth.
Yeah, yeah, that would be great. In During COVID, I actually worked on two outdoor sculptures, which a gallery carries my work, and they have a sculpture garden there. And so, yeah, they took they sold one once now in Colorado, and the other one is still in the sculpture garden. But yeah, that was nice to, like, finally go large, So that was fun. Yeah.
So, well, what else? I mean, your work is fascinating. How would you describe your work if to somebody just tuning in?
Yeah, I do. I would say my work is it's like a three-dimensional collage. I work with stones. I work with found objects. I work with textiles. I work with, yeah, lots of copper. I just love copper. I love the energy that copper has. And I'll show you some work. I've got some. I'll just flip my camera around in my
Okay.
studio here. So you can see those two pieces, eh? So um, they're in progress. It's always a question of how to hang the work as well, vertical, horizontal, that kind of thing. But I started my work, you know, uh, well, in the 80s. I started my work working with more just a plate and working with actual, like, embroidery work, crochet work, everything from my aunt. I was trying to honor her life because she, like all my relatives were in the Netherlands during World War II, and like she did the hugely brave thing of she was part of the resistance, and she hid people in her house, and you never had her words, but you had the work of her hands. So that's kind of how I started working with textiles, because it was a way of um, gathering and presenting, you know, the life of my aunt, my Tante Eintje. And so that was more in a plate. And, you ask about how my work, the size of my work and all that. When my work got larger over time, that plate, the concept of gathering and harvesting in a plate, that plate became elongated into it's like a vessel nearly. And so in my work you'll see a lot of vessels, and so it's so I'm still that concept of collecting, but it's yeah, it's in a different shape than the original plate. And it's like collecting not necessarily the words as in, way back then when I was doing this about my aunt, but it's collecting the work of hands. In Dutch, there's a term that's handwerk, and it doesn't quite translate into English that well, but it's that concept of like the work of our hands is part of who we are, you know. So I love just seeing a stitch, or just seeing something hand dyed or something sewn together, like those crazy quilts, like that people, our people like from way back used to work on, like years of, um, just stitching. I
Right.
mean, hopefully we all still have some of them around, but I actually have a very old one. Well, actually, it's a remnant that I purchased from the Textile Museum here in Canada, and I'm cutting it up, only because I love, just getting even that little 2 inch thing, 2 inch piece of hand stitching, or something dyed, or that color, of textiles that had a life before it became part of that quilt. So it's all part of, the whole narrative, the whole story. So yeah, anyway, I'm going on and on.
No, it's fascinating. So, one question I have is how conceptually has your work evolved over the years? Do you see something different that's happening now that wasn't happening 10 years ago?
Yeah, but I can't explain it. Like, I think I'm always doing the same kind of work and all that. But when I look back at my work, I was like, whoa, it was pretty, the colors were different. I feel like I've gone a lot lighter, a lot brighter, um, a lot cleaner. I used to cram like 10 ideas into a little piece. Now, um, now each piece is much, can breathe a bit more easier, I think,
Right.
yeah.
So the
So
question came up, do you ever have collectors that ask you to incorporate a piece of theirs into a piece?
I do, yeah, I do. Um, and I do it very carefully, and I do it with lots of visuals. Like, I keep asking them because it can be very personal.
Right.
Um, hmm I mean, right right now it's like I am just cutting, like a wedding dress, or was it a wedding dress, or could it have been a wedding dress? Like, I don't want to know in a way, like it's like I'm just like cutting stuff because I love it, or because it's it's like it's aesthetically pleasing, you know. It's only after that I've used that certain piece of fabric that I'm thinking, oh wow, that wedding dress from like that vintage wedding dress that somebody gave me, that little piece looks really good. But if I know too much about it, about stuff, then it's a little harder to just cut away.
Yeah, I would think. Yeah, that is really personal, and if, especially
Yeah,
if it was something like a wedding dress,
right.
and just repurposing whatever fragment of it, that
I know.
would be tough.
I know. Yeah. But if people ask me, I'm very careful. I do it very respectful, and I send them lots of photos so as the piece is developing. So
Right.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, what haven't I asked? What else?
Pardon?
What have I not asked that
What
about
haven't you
art?
had?
I don't really understand abstract work or highly deeply conceptual work,
Mm-hmm.
but things resonate like
Yep.
when I see there's like a persnickety sense of detail, you can
Yep.
tell somebody's really, really invested in the details and how things work together. And to me, that on its own carries the piece, regardless of what concept might be underlying these
Yeah.
parts of it.
Yeah. I think that's a really good point. And that is, um, the concept is not, well, let me back up. It's the aesthetics that have to work. It has to be like, oh, that's a gorgeous piece. Like I have to be able to like stop in my tracks and think, oh, I love it, and then it's done. But if I'm trying to say something, or if I'm trying to get an idea across, I'm lost. I it doesn't work. It looks contrived.
Really,
So
oh, it's interesting.
I always admire people that can do
You can
that.
stick to a concept and hold on to it to the
Yeah.
completion. Oh,
Yeah.
so as far as orientation, you were saying sometimes you're not sure, are they vertical or horizontal?
Yeah.
How long before you commit to that, or do you ever commit to it?
Yeah, I don't I've learned the hard way, and now I just ask my framer to do it either way. And like to have it to set up the frames that I can hang it vertical or horizontal, because often every time I'm doing a show, people ask me if they can flip it. They have a space that needs this piece instead of that piece. So I've just now made it so that it's even on both sides, that it can go either way. So yeah, that's really worked well. That's really worked well.
That-
Yeah.
That's why I like working square.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, I always sign it, which is saying this way up, and I tell people you
Right.
can do whatever you want. If you're buying it, I'll
Yeah.
buy it whichever way works for you. Fine, but
Yeah.
I do work them in a way that there is a up, and even more so lately, I'm thinking in terms of composing with a sense of gravity to the bottom.
Oh.
Do
How,
you ever do that? Do you ever think about as you're working a piece that this reads as the bottom and this reads as the top?
oh, all the time. Yeah, all the time. Like especially when you're using weighted stuff, eh? Like if you're using like a big stone, then the heavy stone needs to be at the bottom. You can't have a stone floating. Now,
Right.
I have to be always conscious that if people turn it this way, that
What's
it still works. So,
right?
but yeah, that's it's a real important kind of concept that I always keep in mind, with that. So, hmm
So
and
how is everything bound together? Is it specifically mechanically connected through weaving the wires, or is there something as simple as glue?
um, all of the above. Yeah, I've learned again the hard way. I hate this learning business, but I've learned the hard way to always attach everything both ways. So everything is glued and stitched. So
Visually,
um,
it looks connected, but just for safety, it's also glued.
for safety, it's also wired. Like when I use the word stitch, I mean I put like wire in my needle. I'll just get some right now. Hang on.
Okay.
So, here is, this came out of a motor, and I might, use this wire. And that, of course, takes a bit of time to undo that. Here's some other wire again. And I would put this maybe in a needle and thread or in a needle, and I just punch right through everything. And I basically sew with a pair of pliers.
Right.
Here too, here's some thicker wire,
Right.
and whenever if I would use a stone, often I get my husband Mark to drill a hole in it, um, and then I go right through But if I use a stone, I would wrap it like this, and
Right.
then stitch it right through the foam board. So stitch, stitch, but also glue it.
Right.
So I learned the hard way. So it's a bit embarrassing getting a call from Texas. Alice, you know, it all turned out good. It was all lovely, but I'm indebted to people.
Yeah. So, would you describe any part of your work as designing in a painterly fashion, thinking of certain pieces as being like a brushstroke?
Oh, interesting. Well, I um, see. It's like I start out with a whole bunch of little squares, so I've been doing that. I don't know if you.
Yeah, I can see those. Yeah.
Okay. So, and this to me, this feels like little paint swatches, right?
Yeah.
That I start then and do that, and then start relating to the color, you know? I'm working more with blues lately, and then you can just see then how everything is connecting or not connecting. And then what happens, when you put like a piece of mica over it, or a washer, that just changes that story, or a piece of ancient ceramic from the Mediterranean shore, that kind of thing.
Right.
If you put
Yeah.
it like if you put it like that, it totally changes everything. But absolutely color is like what pops,
Right.
what's working or what's not working. Um, so I give workshops, and like um, I just say this in workshops because they're all gathered to do this type of work. But I always claim, but I say it so carefully because I don't really mean it, but just for the workshop purpose, I say this is kind of the hardest way to use color, because everything it's all working with the given. Um, like a little bit of red is is so important, absolutely important. But if that fabric was a little bit orangey red, you can't change it. So you have to deal with it or live with it or cut it out or that kind of thing. So
That
I've
is
never
fascinating.
I've never painted, so I don't know what I'm talking
I'm getting that. I just, I'm
about.
getting that you've never actually, yeah,
Painted.
which is fascinating because if you've created this language with the objects and the interactions and the language,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
there's a huge dialogue. So your
Mhm.
palette is what? Tons and tons of boxes of stuff?
Okay. You want to see them?
Sure, why not? Yeah.
Okay. Don't think lesser of
Oh,
me.
no, no, none of that. We're not here to judge.
Okay, no judging. There they are.
Drawers full of stuff, bins full of stuff.
Bins, over flooding, overflowing. I once had a student, um, here, I'll just see. Yeah. I once had a student, the co-op students say that high school people want to give you.
Yeah.
And she she said, "Oh, Alice, can I just organize you?" And I mean, she's there every afternoon. What do I have her do? I said, "Okay, yeah, sure, go ahead." So she was so happy, and she dumped all my bins, and you know, carefully all yellows, all the blues, all the pinks and oranges. It took me half a year to get my footing back.
Right.
Like it it just so threw me off. So it looks unorganized, but I've got precious, not so precious, cut too small, you know, they're
Right.
all floating,
Well, I mean, it just shows that somebody's sense of organization is based on color, whereas yours is
is
based on meaning
based on,
or,
yeah,
whatever.
David. You're saying very nice words, yeah.
No, this. Well, I mean, it is. I mean, things have meaning and validity to them. I mean,
Yeah,
I was trying to find a screw, and I'm going through boxes of just everything. Every time you finish a
yeah,
project, everything winds up in a box. So you've got
yeah,
all
yeah,
these boxes that are what's left over from every project, and one
yeah,
of those has the very specific screw I need. And
yeah.
finding all this stuff, like, wow, it's like what would it take for me to find a place for everything? I can't picture myself doing that. And then maybe somebody else will say, "Oh, just dump it all in the trash can and have it be gone and empty space." That's what you start with. It's like, it's just I'm reaching that age where all of those moving parts and all the things that got left behind by all those moving parts, I'm finding them all, and it's a little disconcerting. There's so many of them. There's just so
So
many moving parts scattered. I built this huge addition, and now it has this little cubby holes with the leftover moving parts.
that's so funny.
Oh, I can relate to what your storage system must be.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah.
Okay,
So yeah,
so what's next for you? When is Rittenhouse Square Fine Art Show your next event?
yeah. Um, yeah. Now, the gallery that I'm with, the OENO Gallery, OENO, they're always wanting more pieces. So I'm working to get them some pieces, and I'm always part of a summer show. And then yes, Rittenhouse. I can't wait. Um, I see you're a bit tanned already. You know, I
Yeah,
mean, are
I'm out house painting for the past.
oh wow, that's
We,
great.
we
Like,
had a big window of time between shows, and we thought we'd be taking a major world trip, but a simple job snowballed and discovered rotted wood and started tearing off siding to replace, jacked
wow.
up the house to swap out a piece of, and then it's just something else. And then we, well, let's start repainting, and you start repainting. It's like, well, what about all that? And
I know.
I was trying to corral it all into it just being about get it done.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
But
yeah.
Yeah, every day, I get that paint on my hands. My wife keeps saying, "Oh, you have seen, I've had paint on the middle of my back. I don't know how for like a couple of days." It's like I can't see it. I don't really care.
Yeah. Well, it's always great to get down to Philadelphia. Like, I'm looking out the window and my tulips are this large, you know?
Really? Yeah, I guess, yeah, from way up north there. I guess,
Mm,
so, okay, now this is something I'm curious about. How far behind are you? So if tulips are just starting to come up, they haven't even bloomed yet.
no,
Wow, because
Sure.
our tulips are just now finishing their bloom.
No, no.
Yeah, we belong to Longwood Gardens. Have you ever been to Longwood Gardens? It's a
Mm-mm.
vast horticultural estate out here in Chester County, and we became members, and we go every week just to get our walk in, but also to just see week by week how things are blooming and changing.
Hmm.
And this is the very tail end of the tulips now.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, that is one thing about the Rittenhouse show. It's like kind of our first hit of summer. You know, that feeling of like, oh, it's warm, and so it's nice. I mean, we do get. I mean, we're not that far north, but I think I'm about 2 blocks from Lake Ontario, and that keeps us cold. You know,
Right. See,
and
you're like a month behind.
mm, yeah, yeah,
Maybe
maybe about
3 weeks, maybe a month. I mean, for me, my preview
older.
of summer will be in 2 weeks when I'm going to Richmond, which is like 4.5 hour drive straight south. And everything is just lush and plush and green. And it feels like I just fast forward into the middle of summer.
What state is that in?
That's in Virginia.
Richmond. Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
right, right. Yes.
It's
Okay.
a charming little town. If I had discovered, I went to art school in Baltimore. If I had known about Richmond, I
Yeah.
probably wouldn't have come home to Pennsylvania. I would have kept going to Richmond. It's just, charming
Yeah.
town. People, the downtown and the park the show is in is just lovely, and
Hmm.
just excited for shows to start. And just not be painting the house anymore. Just whether or not it's done, I will be leaving to do shows.
That's fun. That's fun. Well, I can't wait to see you in what, 5 weeks, you said?
5 weeks coming up,
Oh,
June 6th.
goodness.
Thank you again, Alice. This was a lot of
Hey,
fun.
my pleasure. This was really sweet. Yeah, thank you so much.
You're very welcome, and thank you all for tuning in. And again, the show's coming up June 6th, 7th, and 8th, and definitely stop by, see Alice Vander Vennen's work. Do you know your booth number?
No, not
You know
yet.
where? You know vaguely where you are?
You
You're
know,
probably
I'm always right across from the Rittenhouse Hotel.
right. Right. I used to be right up the corner from you. Now I'm in the opposite
Yes.
side of the show.
Oh,
Yeah, they scrambled everything and they said you can be anywhere you want, just not where you were. So I took the exact opposite corner,
and
which is really nice. I mean, I'm by the park restaurant and it's different light, different
yeah, that's
different
something.
air.
Yeah, you got to really think of that too, eh? The lighting and all that. So
Right.
anyway,
The vibe is different, and I'm going to stay there. I kind of like it. It's just a refreshing change. I've been on the other corner for forever, so
forever. Well,
change is supposed to be good. So I've heard.
change. Okay. See
All
you
right.
soon.
Yeah. All right. Bye bye.